In this session, we will learn how to prove irrationality of certain numbers. A number is irrational if it cannot be represented in the following form: P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. For example, root 2, root 3, root 7, root 2 divided by root 5. Such numbers are irrational, and we will prove that they are irrational using the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Now we will prove three things in this session. Firstly, we will prove the irrationality of an irrational number. Secondly, we will prove that the sum or difference of irrational numbers is also irrational. And thirdly, we will prove that the product of a non-zero rational number and an irrational number is also irrational. Let's take some problems. Let's prove that root 2 is an irrational number. Let us assume on the contrary that root 2 is a rational number to begin with. Then there exist positive integers a and b such that root 2 is equal to a divided by b, where a and b are co-prime and their HCF is 1. So we begin with root 2 is equal to a divided by b. Squaring both sides, we get root 2 the whole square is equal to a divided by b the whole square. So that means 2 is equal to a square divided by b square. Cross multiplying, we get 2b square is equal to a square. So that means 2 completely divides a square. If 2 completely divides a square, 2 also completely divides a, using the fundamental theorem of arithmetic that we learnt earlier. Let's call this inference 1. Now if 2 completely divides a, that means a is equal to 2c for some value c. Squaring both sides, we get a square is equal to 4c square. A square is also equal to 2b square. So we can equate 2b square as 4c square. Dividing both sides by 2, we get b square is equal to 2c square. This means 2 completely divides b square as well. Or else we can say 2 completely divides b using the same fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Let's call this inference 2. From the inferences 1 and 2 we saw earlier, that is 2 completely divides a and 2 completely divides b as well, we get that 2 is a common factor for both a and b. But this contradicts our earlier assumption that a and b have no common factors other than 1. This means our assumption is wrong. Our assumption was that root 2 is a rational number. Hence, root 2 is an irrational number. Next, we will generalize our earlier problem and prove that any prime number p, for any prime number p, root p is irrational. Again, let us assume on the contrary that root p is rational. Then there exist positive coprimes a and b such that root p is equal to a divided by b. Squaring both sides, we get p is equal to a square divided by b square. Cross multiplying, we get b square into p is equal to a square. So this means that p completely divides a square. And using the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, we can prove that p completely divides a as well. This again means that a is equal to pc for some integer c. Now b square p is equal to a square. So b square p is equal to p square into c square. This means that p completely divides b square. And we can prove that p completely divides b also using the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Since p completely divides a and p completely divides b also, this contradicts our earlier assumption that a and b are co-prime. If a and b were co-prime, then they should not have the same factor. Therefore, we prove that root p is irrational. Let's solve another problem. Given that 3 and 5 are two prime integers, let's prove that root 3 plus root 5 is an irrational number. As usual, we start by assuming that root 3 plus root 5 is a rational number, which means that it can be represented in the form a by b, where a and b are co-prime and b is not equal to 0. So root 5 is equal to a by b minus root 3. Squaring both sides, we get root 5 the whole square is equal to a by b minus root 3 the whole square. Expanding the terms, we get 5 is equal to a square by b square minus 2 root 3 ab plus 3. Bringing the numerical terms on one side, we get 5 minus 3 is equal to a square by b square minus 2 root 3 a by b. So 2 is equal to a square by b square minus 2 root 3 a by b. So 2 root 3 a by b is equal to a square by b square minus 2. Multiply and divide the term minus 2 by b square so that the denominator is same, and we can add a square and minus 2b square to get 2 root 3 a by b is equal to a square minus 2b square the whole divided by b square. Taking 2a by b to the other side by cross multiplying, we'll get root 3 is equal to a square minus 2b square divided by 2ab. Here we can see that root 3 is being represented as something divided by something. But root 3 is rational. So this is a contradiction. So our initial assumption that root 3 plus root 5 is rational is also not correct. This means that root 3 plus root 5 is irrational. Let's go to the next problem. Let's prove that 3 root 2 is irrational, or for that matter, any rational number into an irrational number is irrational. Let's start by assuming that 3 root 2 is rational, which means that we can find co-prime a and b where b is not equal to 0 such that 3 root 2 is equal to a divided by b. That means root 2 is equal to a divided by 3b by taking 3 on the denominator of the other side. Since 3a and b are integers, a divided by 3b is a rational number, which means that root 2, which is equal to a divided by 3b, is also a rational number. But we know that it is a fact that root 2 is an irrational number. It's the square root of a prime number, so it's irrational. This means that our initial assumption that 3 root 2 is rational is incorrect. Hence, we conclude that 3 root 2 is irrational. We now come to the next part of our session, revisiting rational numbers and their decimal expansions. Let's have a small recap of what we've learned in the previous classes. We've learned in the previous classes that the decimal expansion of a rational number can be either terminating or non-terminating repeating. Examples of terminating decimal expansions of rational number are 5 by 4 and 7 by 25. If we find the value of 5 by 4 using the long division method, after 2 decimal places in the quotient, the remainder becomes 0 and the division is done. Since the remainder becomes 0 in the long division method, these numbers are terminating decimal numbers. But if we find the value of 1 by 3 using the long division method, we can keep on adding decimals to the quotient, but the remainder will never become 0. This is why these decimal expansions are non-terminating and repeating. To represent these numbers, we add a small bar on top of the repeating decimals. 1.33333 is represented as 1.3 with a bar over 3. 4.54545454 is represented as 4.54 with a bar on the 54. In this session, we will learn the conditions which determine whether a rational number will be terminating or non-terminating repeating. You know that a rational number having a terminating decimal expansion can be written as a rational number whose denominator is some power of 10. For example, 0.457 is equal to 457 divided by 1000, which is equal to 457 divided by 10 cubed. 0.050456 is equal to 50,456 divided by 1 followed by 6 zeros, which is equal to 50,456 divided by 10 to the power of 6. Similarly, 4.7345 can be represented as 47,345 divided by 10,000, which is 10 power 4. So, the number can be represented as 47,354 divided by 10 to the power of 4. Theorem 1. Let x be a rational number whose decimal expansion terminates. Then x can be expressed in the form of p by q, where p and q are co-primes, and the prime factorization of q is of the form 2 to the power of m into 5 to the power of n, where m and n are non-negative integers. Let us now see if the converse of this theorem is true or not. Let a by b be a rational number in the lowest form such that the prime factorization of b is of the form 2 to the power of m into 5 to the power of n, where m and n are non-negative integers. There will be 3 cases which are possible because of the values of m and n. Case 1 will be where m is equal to n. In this case, we have a divided by b is equal to a divided by 2 to the power of m into 5 to the power of n, which is 2 to the power of m into 5 to the power of m itself, because m is equal to n. So, multiplying 2 and 5, we get a by b is equal to a divided by 10 to the power of m. Case 2. When m is greater than n. In this case, we have m is equal to n plus p, where p is a positive integer. A by b is equal to a divided by 2 to the power of m into 5 to the power of n. Multiplying the numerator and denominator by a term 5 to the power of p, we get a by b is equal to a into 5 to the power of p divided by 2 to the power of m into 5 to the power of n plus p. We get 5 to the power of n plus p by the rules of exponents, that 5 to the power of n into 5 to the power of p is equal to 5 to the power of n plus p. Since n plus p is equal to m, we get a into 5 to the power of p divided by 2 to the power of m into 5 to the power of m, which is equal to c divided by 10 to the power of m, where c is equal to a into 5 to the power of p. Case 3. When m is lesser than n. In this case, we have n is equal to m plus p, where p is a positive integer. A by b is equal to a divided by 2 to the power of m into 5 to the power of n. Multiplying the numerator and denominator by a term 2 to the power of p, we get a by b is equal to a into 2 to the power of p divided by 2 to the power of m plus p into 5 to the power of n. Since m plus p is equal to n, we get a by b is equal to a into 2 to the power of p divided by 2 into the power of n into 5 to the power of n. Multiplying 2 and 5, we get a by b is equal to c divided by 10 to the power of n, where c is equal to a into 2 to the power of p. Thus, a rational number whose denominator is of the form 2 to the power of m into 5 to the power of n, where m and n are non-negative integers, can be converted to an equivalent rational number of the form c by d, where d is a power of 10.